Okay, so we're gonna hit record. I will share the screen. And as we go through this, we just want to let you know that you can do the Q&A box is probably going to be the best place to drop your questions. The chat kind of things start to disappear from that pretty quickly. They start to, go above the fold, or I guess below the fold, but like upside down. So we sometimes miss stuff there. So make sure you drop your questions in the Q&A. And then we also, we had a question on here that asked, what's your biggest challenge with Kickstarter? So I know a lot of people answered that in the webinar sign up, but I would also say if you're comfortable, drop your biggest challenge with Kickstarter into the Q&A as well. In terms of like figuring out if Kickstarter is right for me. What are your biggest fears? What are your biggest challenges? What is kind of blocking you from thinking that Kickstarter is right for you? That would be helpful to us too.
Absolutely. And one person already said, I want to hear the answers to all of the questions in this webinar. So I'm going to ask you at the end, person who posted this, that may or may not want to remain anonymous, if we did a good job. And if not, like, take us to task for it, because I definitely want those questions answered.
Yep. All right. So is Kickstarter right for me? What we're going to do in this webinar, who should be using Kickstarter? We'll talk a little bit about the math behind that answer as well. What niche does Kickstarter work best for? And then we'll also talk about the Kickstarter Accelerator, which is our paid program. And we'll talk about some of the bonuses and surprises and all the stuff that we're doing right now for this current launch. And at this time, we currently have the program. It's open, it's on early bird. It's not officially, well, it is launched, but like it's not officially launched. Like we actually start on, I think, November 2nd, but we have an early bird right now, kind of for people who have found us just in the last couple months, last 6 months or so, if you are here with us.
So yeah, we're excited to show you all of this stuff. Hey, that's me. I know me. I'm Russell Nolte. I need to update my page now that I've gotten LASIK, but I've been independently published since 2014. I'm a USA Today best-selling author. I've done now 25 campaigns, raised over $400,000, including over $100,000 this year alone. 40,000 of that with Monica. I do comics, novels, anthologies, audio dramas. I have a background as a sales manager, and I'm the co-host of the Kickstart Your Book Sales podcast, which you might have listened to.
Yep, and here I am. I've been independently published on Amazon since 2009, and my name is Monica Leonel, USA Today bestselling author, and I also write fiction as Solo Storm, and then I have a number of other books and series for authors. So you may have heard of the Productive Novelist series, the Book Sales Supercharged series, and a few others. And you may have also been watching or listening to our podcast, Kickstart Your Book Sales. I really encourage you to do so. There's a lot of great content about Kickstarter on there, and it's all free, obviously. Okay, so then this is our book, Get Your Book Selling on Kickstarter. We did a campaign last year for this. It hit over 21,000. We'll talk a little bit more about the campaign if we need to in here, but I really also, this is a great book. If you're, I would say if you come away from this webinar and you're Kickstarter curious, like definitely pick up the book at least and read this, because I think it can kind of answer some of the questions as well. Who should be using Kickstarter? So most authors know that they need to do sales direct to readers. And this is a big conversation in the indie author community right now, that retailers, they're great for finding readers, but a lot of authors are trying to figure out, well, how do I make money outside of retailers right now? Kickstarter, we do consider a fan-based platform, but we also consider it a direct sales channel. Kickstarter is really a gateway to selling direct. This is kind of one of the foundational things that Russell and I talk about all the time, is that if you, before you start doing direct sales, you should run a Kickstarter, because a lot of the same principles apply. And Kickstarter is pretty different from retailers in terms of how you market, how you plan, all sorts of little quirks and differences. The good thing about Kickstarter is really that it has the ability to make you a lot more revenue with far fewer readers. And we think this is both critical to authors who are starting out and to authors who are already established. So for authors who are starting out, you're able to really just make enough money to keep going and cover your production costs. For authors who are already established, it's really about getting more out of your backlist, and also just building a greater fandom. We think retailers are great for finding and building casual readership, and that tends to result in a few fans, but not a ton, where we think Kickstarter is great for building a fandom, which then can result in casual readers as well. So retailers, you can sell a book for $2 to $7 average per reader. So that's usually about where your royalties end up per book. But on Kickstarter, you can sell bundles of books and merchandise and other things. The average per backer on a publishing project is between $25 and $50. And we've also seen it go higher than that. We have actually hit $115 average per backer on one of our publishing project campaigns, which was a little crazy. We also see, like, for special hardcover editions, we often can see, $75, $80 per backer on those. So this is a big difference. It's 10x if you're doing the math on it, at least 10x. It can be more than that. And so just imagine if you're making like $100 on retailers, we're talking about, you could do the same thing on Kickstarter to make $1,000. And so with that same asset, $1,000 or more. And so we're talking a really big, almost like really like a life-changing or game-changing effort for a newer author or like a less established author. And then if you're an established author, well, kind of like the sky's the limit on how well you can do.
Yeah, we've seen people do, we've seen people like literally take a book that has made $100 on retail and like make $8,000 with it, or a couple $100. Like, so this is not just like a theoretical, like, well, what could we watch people constantly? Like currently we have 11, 12, we usually have like anywhere between 10 and 20 campaigns going at any one time. And like many of them are people who are from either less than successful or like journeyman people who are making, break even or a little bit better on their books, launching and doing thousands of dollars before they ever hit even retail. And I do, before we get into like some examples, I definitely want to talk about LS's problem that she has, or the question that she has.
Let's do it.
But let's get through all of this stuff first, and then we're going to answer that question. So let's get to like the meat part of it. And then because LS, I know, writes horror, and I know we happen to have a horror camp, an exact analog to her question live right now.
Yep. All right. So I did want to talk about where we fit in with this Kickstarter stuff. So basically, we teach you how to plan a good Kickstarter campaign. We also study retailers. We know from working with hundreds of authors at this point that Kickstarter is very different from retailers, and the things that work on Kickstarter are often the opposite of what works on retailers. We can give you a very long we've written like a whole thesis on why this is, and we can dive deep into that, and we do that in our programs. If you're working with us beyond this webinar, basically, we will talk to you about all of that, so you can really see like the whys and the hows of what that is. But the thing to know now is just that a lot of the marketing that is done on Amazon does not translate well to Kickstarter. So, and we have spoken to so many authors who are like, my intuition would have led me completely wrong on Kickstarter because it was based on what I learned about marketing on Amazon, and it's the complete opposite of what works. So
yeah, like there's a reason why this book is so thick. It's because it's like it is a instruction guide about Kickstarter, but it's also like basically changing your mindset for like what works. And honestly, right, like to me, all of the fun stuff about writing and publishing is like this part of the book, not the Amazon part of the book that makes things right, very sterile and commodifies it.
Yep. Yeah, so we also keep you from going in the red on your project. So we help, and then beyond that, so if you've seen Kickstarter, if you know Kickstarter's reputation, a lot of projects, never fund, a lot of projects never deliver. And then a lot of projects, when they do deliver, it actually costs them money because it's products and like it's, you know, the costs have just gotten too much compared to what the amount raised is. So we help you from going in the red. We also help you make a profit on your campaigns. And we personally keep between 25 to 50% of our campaigns, all of our solo campaigns or more. We've gotten up to about 65, 70% when we make it like a more strongly digital campaign. So we have a number of budget spreadsheets that we help you go through. And it's not really a budget, it's a system of thinking. But we help you go through all of that to make sure that your campaign does not jeopardize your business in any way and actually is helping your business get to the next level.
Yeah, so I mean, if you think about, so imagine going into your launch, the day you launch on Amazon, not just in it like break even, but like with a profit. Like you already know your book works, you already know what the marketing works, and you're still able to like keep a profit of those books after your campaign. Just one more quick thing is the average success rate on Kickstarter for publishing projects is about 36%. Our success rate is 100%. So that's another thing that you're getting. Like it's 3 times better than almost 3 times better than the average Kickstarter project when you work with us.
It actually blows me away that the success rate on Kickstarter general is so low, only because like everybody in our circle succeeds because we have that 100% success rate. So that's insane. But yeah, so you know, just doing Kickstarter on your own can be risky business. Basically, it can be a time sink if you are not, you know, optimized and kind of knowing what you're doing. So then the last thing is you'll also learn marketing and sales skills doing a Kickstarter that you can then take to other direct sales avenues. So even if you're not thinking about Kickstarter, really, you're thinking more about direct sales, you're thinking more about Patreon, you're thinking more about like events and signings, whatever, your website, selling online on your website, opening a Shopify store, whatever. These marketing and sales skills are going to be really helpful to you in direct sales as well. And we have direct sales, and that we think of Kickstarter as a direct sales platform because of that.
And in fact, the early bird offer that you can get in on now, which we'll talk about, like can help you move from Kickstarter to direct sales as well.
Yep. All right, so I guess we have another slide of this. Apologies, thought we were on the last one. We can teach you how to maximize your profits so that you get the most people from your audience to back for the most amount. And these are the 2 levers that we pull to help you get your campaign to be much higher than it might have been, without following our system. So the math of this is really simple. 100 people at $20 versus 200 people at $40. So doubling the number of people, doubling the amount that they're backing at is a difference. It's actually a 4x difference, goes from $2,000 to $8,000. And so you can see, like, as you pull these 2 different levers, how quickly the money starts to multiply. So that's really nice. And we show you how to do a lot of this. So people who don't work with us, they typically leave about 3 to 5x on the table with their Kickstarters. This is, we have a lot of data on this actually, from our own students, and then also, more people in the author community have been doing Kickstarters, and so we see, we're able to track their publicly available data, and we're also able to estimate, where, like what could have been going on in their campaign, and compared to their retailer sales and stuff like that. And this number is pretty solid for us. All right.
Yeah.
So
before we
go
go into this, I want to answer the 2 questions that came in.
Yep.
I'm going to stop your screen share so I can screen share.
That's
okay.
fine.
So first I want to, Martha asks, wait, Martha asked something. Can you read Martha's question in the chat?
Yeah. Hang on. I'm gonna escape out of this. Okay, so first, Martha, let's see. Oh, here. Does succeed mean hit the goal, as in fully fund? Yeah, so we track people. We track a couple things. We track people specifically when they hit the goal, yes, and make sure, and we also like help you set a goal that we think is achievable, of course. So that is part of it. And that is part of success, but we also track like how much it funds overall. So we track both things. Our current average for students is $4,000, which is much higher, I think, than the general publishing Kickstarter average. And then for all of our members, including experts, that includes like me, Russell, like people who are on like their 10th campaign, their 15th campaign, those people over 7,669. That's huge.
Yeah, so this is, I literally track every campaign that I can find. I can't find everyone, like I don't have access to every campaign, but like for everyone, you can see all of these are all of the campaigns that we've done. I don't have a problem sharing this because it's all public data, like what they funded, what their goal is, like where they are now. Like you can see literally everything about that. So you can see like we usually recommend a $500 goal, or our average campaign. Not our median or our mode campaign, but our average campaign raises about $4,000 from our average student campaign, or average for a combined almost $400,000 that they've made since the beginning of our last November, where we opened the accelerator. And like this, we've done a lot of investigation on this, and we believe this is new money to publishing. This is not pulling away from your other launches. If you want to hear more about this, we did a series on our live stream, and where we talk specifically with Jamie Davis and a couple of others who back up that like this is not like money that's coming out of Amazon. This is like legitimately new money, or most of it is new money into people's pockets that would not be there otherwise, right, Monica?
Yeah. And we've like Russell said, we've collected a lot of data, but we've also collected a lot of anecdotes from individual authors. Like Jamie Davis said this. There were a couple other authors who said this, that their sales at retailers stayed steady as they were doing their campaigns, and that this was just additional money in their publishing business. So we're seeing like a lot of questions in the chat, and I'm nervous that we're going to miss them. So if you posted a question in the chat, make sure you also drop it in the Q&A box, because there we can definitely, that helps us track the questions a little bit better. So if you don't mind moving it there, that would be helpful, or just in the future putting it there. So did you want to do LS's?
I want to talk about LS's campaign, because I know LS personally, and I know she writes horror, and I love her work. And another one of my friends who writes horror and whose work I love is Tom Levine. I would realize maybe it's Levin. I've never said his name out loud. Tom Levine, who does this horror collection. You can see 38 backers, has raised $1,500. So one thing that you're going to see on Kickstarter is we're going to raise way more money from way fewer backers. And so this is, like I said, a short story collection. He does a really good job of marketing this on his page. So you can see he has a couple of other books back, and like he's won a couple of awards. But like, do I think LS that you have 38 fans? Yeah, I mean, I'm one. So like I think you have 37 other fans besides me to like that you could make $1,500 doing a Kickstarter. Like, yes. And I also know that like for myself, like I was able to supplant doing shows by doing Kickstarter. And so like shows are a lot for me. And so this is a way that helps me like not have to do shows as well. So in your specific case, not only do I think that it would be a good idea to use Kickstarter, I have a literal example of roughly the exact thing you asked that has been successful. Now,
Yeah.
will you make, I think you can probably make more than $1,500. Tom's done other campaigns as well. Like, I think the sky is the limit. Like, I think the sky's the limit for Tom as well. But like in this particular instance, like horror is the biggest category on Kickstarter. So you have to also start thinking about switching things around in your mode from being, are you am I going to find any fans, to like, I now have the biggest chunk of the audience is excited about horror and fantasy and science fiction, which is literally the flip of Amazon.
Well,
yeah.
So I don't think we said what the question was out loud, unless I missed it. But the question was really, Kickstarter is a lot of work and time is limited right now. Would I be better off just writing the next book? Which is a common question that we get. And so Russell has given the answer on that, which is, we do think it's worth it. But yeah.
Well, and her specific question was she fears that she has a small audience that doesn't know if she would go for it, and that she's build the thing and no one will come. And like, that's a legitimate fear. I mean, it's a legitimate, if you write the next book, you'll also have the fear that like, will anyone come? And like, would you, would it be worth it? But like, so doing a Kickstarter, like, especially for an old short story collection, is one of the things that we really recommend, because, or like an old collection, or we call it an anniversary bundle or an anniversary book, because you're not doing any extra work like on the production of the stories, and you can test and see if Kickstarter is for you. My feeling, knowing how much you care about meeting your fans in person, that like the ability to basically run an online convention for your books and for your fans is going to be something that is thrilling and exciting for you. But like someone said, you never know if you try it. I can very well say, though, knowing your work, having read your work specifically, sorry, this is getting a little bit specific for this person, that like you should use Kickstarter 100%, and that we can help you because we literally have an example of exactly your thing. And Tom is very I'm happy to like connect you guys together also inside the groups, because he's very good at like helping humans as well.
Well, so the more general gist of this question, worrying that like things are not gonna, like, I think that what is really happening, so like regardless of whether you write the book, you don't know if people are gonna buy it, right? Like that's always a fear of launching. Like Russell said, on a retailer, you can kind of hide. You don't have to confront like, oh, only a certain number of people read my book or bought my book during launch week. We're on Kickstarter. That data is very public. So I think a lot of this question is not about, it's not a fear that, or maybe it is a fear that people won't come, but it's also like a fear of like that being very public, and that, you having to like confront that in a bigger way, because you're putting yourself out there in a bigger way with the Kickstarter, and then people maybe not responding to that like quite a bit more publicly than it happens on Amazon, I think. And I know this was a huge fear when I started as well. The thing I can say is that we really set you up to succeed. That's why we have 100% success rate. It's because we encourage you, to set goals that are going to be successful and that you're going to be able to deliver on, and so that your campaign is a success. as far as like from a Kickstarter perspective, I should say.
Yeah, and just the way that we design the campaigns is going to give you the best chance of having that success. But like, I do think there are a lot of potential fans for horror on there, which leads us to a question, which is, how does urban fantasy do on Kickstarter? Does great. Like, fantasy is probably the single best genre that we have like as far as consistency goes.
All right. So I see some questions here. I'm hoping, okay, we'll answer one more question from Kevin here, but we will, and then we'll switch over to the Q&A, and then we want to have all the questions in the Q&A if possible, just because it's hard to track it in this other one. So Kevin asked, how much expansion can be achieved with readership? I'm more interested in expanding readership than just making money. How many readers follow through to the next campaign? So basically, can you build an audience on Kickstarter?
I mean,
your thoughts?
So, okay, so there's two things that there's two different kinds of reader. One is a reader of your work. One is a fan of your work. So Amazon is very good at creating readers for your work. It is atrocious at creating fans of your work, because it's trying to get people to buy other people's work right on your page. Like, right on your page is doing all of the work to try and get people off of your page to buy something else. Are there readers that only use Kickstarter? Yeah, I mean, I'm probably one of them, so I can say that there are people that like at least would prefer to use Kickstarter above anyone else. But what Kickstarter is really great at is turning readers into fans and allowing your fans a chance to build a deeper connection with you, and then offering them things that you can't on Amazon to increase the spend that they do, that they use when you launch a book. So it's, I mean, there are readers of like that are on Kickstarter, but what Kickstarter is better for is to turn those readers into dedicated fans, and then you also have the direct access to them. Like, you have their email and all of the data so that you can continue with them now.
Yeah, I would, yeah, I don't know that I have anything to add to that. That's pretty good. All right, so still seeing questions in the chat. We'll go over to the Q&A over here. So I was responding to one of them about course access. So and I'll respond to this, but if you have the course already, which sounds like a couple people on this do, make sure you email support@writermba.com to make sure you have access. So you should have access already. There's a whole program for the Kickstarter Accelerator. There's something like 40-50 videos that you can access, and definitely do that. And we'll connect with our support teams to make sure that they reach out to you. So I'll make a note of that. So apologies for that. Yeah, go ahead.
Shelly also had a question. If you want to, I'm trying to get to all the people who are private messaging asking about course access. So.
Okay. So let's do, I'm going to go over to the Q&A. So one question is, Melissa Green, can I use Drafted Digital and Kickstarter for the same project? Yes, you can. Kickstarter is just another platform. Drafted Digital is a distributor, so there's not really a conflict, though I think you probably want to, I think you should probably post a little bit more about how you want to do that and why you want to do it, for us to kind of advise a little bit better, because that just, those two things shouldn't be in conflict, but they're also just tools, so it depends on how you're using it as to whether it's best practice. If you're asking can you just use those two things, yes, the answer is yes, but best
Yes, but if
practice
you're
might.
asking like, can you distribute from draft to digital to Kickstarter? The answer is no. Like they're like that's
Right.
so yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we have another question about this. Martha says, I'm a friend of Claire who just had a successful Kickstarter campaign. Yeah, so I'm assuming Claire just had a successful campaign. Okay, I've already signed up with Early Bird. Does working with you involve something more? The Early Bird gives you access to our Kickstarter Accelerator program. And that is a bunch of videos. It's a huge training program. And then you can also, you should be on our Circle community as well. And our Circle community is where we do a lot of our mentoring, group mentoring, and we do it all by text, so you can post your questions. We also, for Kickstarter Accelerator, we also have a Facebook group that we are kind of moving people out of, but there's a really great archive of answers to questions there, so that that should be helpful. As far as working with us further, you know, we don't actually do a lot of consulting right now. I mean, we could, but we have, you know, our hourly rates are, Russell's is $350 minus $250 an hour. So we always, we think the program is really good at getting you through your Kickstarter. So we always would recommend that over doing consulting with us. Unless you're, you know, and Martha, I know we've met at conferences and stuff. So unless, you know, and I know you're like quite a successful author. So if you have a campaign that you're like, I know it's going to hit like 100K or several 100K and I want to like optimize it, then that's when I think, you know, doing calls with us or like working with us more one-on-one could be helpful. But for most authors, I think the training program suffices. Do you want to add anything to that, Russell?
No, we do a lot of like group mentoring, but yeah, we don't do much one-on-one. But you're welcome to reach out to us
Right.
and talk more about that. There was another one that says, does it work for my genre if it's not fantasy and unusual as it is Celtic, historical, druid, Arthurian, and is book one of a trilogy? There's a mystical and fantastical and even romance, but it is multi-genre. I'm just hearing about horror and fantasy here.
Oh, so you're asking genres?
I mean, if you are a multi-hyphenate thing, like that's where Kickstarter is at its best. Multi-hyphenate things are very hard to succinct into a blurb, like you know, like a 200 to 250 word blurb, whereas Kickstarter allows you to expand on that and give a whole lot more stuff, and give a whole lot more detail of your book. And again, usually there's less people in a genre that is like, it's a lot harder to market to somebody that's cross genre. So if you have a cross genre thing, especially one that hits some trope of fantasy, then yeah, I mean, I think it's going to work really well for you.
So Justin Fike did a campaign that hit over 10K, and I think he is one of our examples in this presentation. But I will also say that we just did an interview with him where he talked about how he was trying to market his books on retailers and specifically on Amazon, and he would put it in, you know, this category, and there were elements of that category, but he would get like negative reviews because there were some elements of that category that were missing from his book. And then he would try to put it in this other category and the same thing happened. And so he was talking about, you know, essentially marketing a multi-genre book where it's not quite to like any of the Amazon category expectations. And he was able to raise over 10K on Kickstarter with that series. And we did the interview. It's on our YouTube channel right now. It's kind of, we did like, we've been doing them 4 in a row. So I think it's on the second one. And well, I'm sorry, there's a technical issue. I think it's on the second one, the most recent YouTube video that we did, and we'll put it as a podcast at some point. But I think that would be a really good one to listen to, specifically for you to kind of understand like why being cross genre doesn't work very well on a retailer at all. Like they just don't know they don't know what to do with you. They don't know how to sell your book, but why it translates so well into Kickstarter. Okay, so let's see what else. Okay, so Kevin says, I live outside the US and it's 4 a.m. here. How detrimental are postage costs to profitability when dealing with physical products? Do you recommend only using digital Perks products, or are physical products still viable? I write in English. I would say that probably doing mostly digital is probably going to be a good idea for anyone who's doing international anyway, especially if it's your first campaign. We see a lot of people who do, just the book is the only physical product that people get. So like no merchandise, no physical merchandise. And that seems to help with profitability. And then a lot of our international authors, they drop ship through Ingram Spark. And that seems to be kind of like the favorite way to do it. There are lots of other ways. In our program, there is a fulfillment expert. And we also did an interview with her. Well, Russell did the interview with her.
Lori Foster. Okay. You can find her, like she's inside of our group, but she can help you with a campaign fulfilling in America. Mm-hmm. You can also, I'm not sure exactly, so 4 a.m. So probably
in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa.
Yes, yeah. Theoretically, you could, if you were in a place that had a bunch of Kickstarter people, there's people in our group that you could be like, hey, I'll do your Australian shipping and you'll do the US shipping for me. And like, there are people you can just like that. There's another way. Oh, Tokyo. Yeah. You can do things like that. There's a whole bunch of like tricks that you can use to make, but usually what we would recommend is like drop ship the books or use a fulfillment person and then send a book plate, like just on like regular post that's going to save a whole lot of costs for you if you want to make something specific or give them something tangible that they can put that's different than what they could get just on Amazon.
All right, so we have another question. I have a manifesto that I want to expand into a longer business book for entrepreneurs with disabilities. So I want to distribute the business book through Draft Digital while grabbing readers from Kickstarter. All of that is fine, but with Kickstarter, you do your own fulfillment. So you're not able to take orders from Kickstarter and then have Draft Digital fulfill them. You are going to have to
connect to. Right. It won't connect to go to the next question. It won't connect to Amazon either. Like it's its own separate platform that deals with itself. It is, and you are responsible for fulfillment.
Right. So you would have to order the books from Draft Digital, Ingram Spark, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, mix them, print, 40-hour print, like you're gonna have to order the books, ship them to you. Or ship them to a fulfillment person, but like it needs to go to a fulfillment person, which is probably you, and then you are going to have to package them and ship them out using. So Kickstarter, it really only takes the order for you, the pre-order for you, and then you are able to like assemble the packages and ship them out.
Yes, and you in return, you get the customer data, including the email addresses and everything that you can then ask them if they would like to join your mailing list or they're inside of your ecosystem. So like that is the trade-off. You make considerably more money than you do on Amazon, but you also are responsible for fulfillment on Amazon. So it is not Draft Digital. It is not an aggregator. It is not a distributor. It is not even a print place. Like it is a place to take pre-orders, a premium price, and then it is a mini direct sales channel.
So then there's another question asking, do you get the orders and do this after you launch on Amazon? That's where I'm planning to publish 3 versions. So we don't recommend that. So we recommend, and it's kind of up to you. We recommend basically either doing front list or back list. There's a couple places where you can do like something that's on retailers already, and like you're doing, something on Kickstarter with it too, but specifically for, your first project, because we can't tell you about your 12th project, but we can tell you about your first project, what works best. We recommend either taking something that's way deep in your backlist and doing like a 5-year anniversary edition, 10-year anniversary edition, something like that. Or we recommend doing a front list thing. So like your next book that's coming out, or maybe it's like a book that's coming out 6 months from now, instead of launching it on a retailer first, launch it on Kickstarter first, leave it on Kickstarter for a little while, and then eventually go back and launch it on retailers in the black. So you've already paid for all your production costs through Kickstarter, and you've sent it out to all your best fans, and then you can take, the profit from that and now do a better launch on retailers.
Yes, and there's another question. Does Kickstarter have a Braille order for pre-orders? You can offer whatever option that you want. They don't print books. They don't, there's no option for what you're saying, but there's also no non-option. If you are going to launch, if you have a printer who has a Braille option, that you can then offer it on Kickstarter. But if you have a follow-up to that question, I'd love to hear more. But Kickstarter is only taking the money, and then you are fulfilling it. So you are printing the books, you are fulfilling the books, you are it's on you to figure out how to do all of the places. But if you want to say, this is my manifesto in Braille, then you can certainly do that on Kickstarter. But then their involvement with the campaign ends with giving you the money to fulfill it yourself. And that does not mean you have to actually print it. You can, that could be you hiring someone to do all of the stuff for you. But that part is what we talk about a lot in the course.
All right. So somebody asked, you had mentioned you normally take 25 to 50%, sometimes more, but I didn't get where this comes in. Oh, we make 25 to 50% profit on our campaigns. So when we run a campaign, we make 25 to 50% of the total raise. That is our profit versus us, versus us having to spend it on shipping books and stuff. So we do have to spend money on shipping books, but we keep our profit margin high. We don't take if you're in our Kickstarter program or anything that we're doing, we do not take a percentage of your Kickstarter campaign. So that, I think, okay.
Yeah, hopefully that answers your question. And now, do you want to go back to the deck?
Well, there's one
more. Another question?
Oh, there's more questions. I'm happy to answer questions. We have some examples of authors who are in our programs that we can show you next. But I think some of these questions are good because I want to make sure we're all on the same page. So it says, would you recommend this process for being able to create an audiobook, or is it better for physical books like hard copies?
So the campaign that I'm running now is for audio, is for a book and an audio book. And I can specifically take you through this to answer how we recommend doing this kind of campaign. And that is by doing a special edition hardcover, like you're seeing right here, with an audiobook component to it. We did this again with a previous campaign that I ran last year, which may even be more illustrative than this particular campaign. But when you're doing Kickstarter is generally a print first medium. They prefer print. They do like ebooks, but generally like audiobooks is a thing that like you have to tuck in there. So this was a special edition audio hardcover that came as part of an audio drama that we released last year. And so doing something like this can work very well. We had this was a almost $5,000 campaign that we ran around this time last year. And this is the one that we're running this year, which is, it's got an audio component. If we talk about the audio component, we did do emails of the audio component, but the audio is a part of this special edition book. So that's how you're going to have the most success when you just do an audio book without this. It's a lot harder for you. Like Kickstarter is first and foremost, Kickstarter backers like that physical, unique, like thing that they're getting in the campaign.
Yep. All right. So somebody else asks, is it a possible idea to send supporters a digital copy through, say, BookFunnel prior to the end of the campaign and request that reviews, unverified of course, be placed on launch day so that on Amazon launch day reviews will spike the Amazon algorithms? Is this a marketing option for the book's overall momentum? I mean, it's possible. We don't recommend that.
You definitely, so usually a campaign so the launch day is your Kickstarter launch day. It's not your Amazon launch day. So you don't want to send a book before the end of your campaign, because then people will not pledge to your campaign. Like you want to so how Kickstarter works is you pledge, and then at the end of the campaign, they collect the money and then send it to you. So if there's no benefit to sending the book in the middle of the campaign. There's also, you can run your campaign, and we recommend running it months before you do the Amazon launch. So you can do the campaign and then send the ebook after the campaign before your Amazon launch. And then yes, you can do that through BookFunnel, but like there's no scenario that I can think of where I would recommend you to give people a book before they've actually paid for said book.
Right.
But yes, you can do all of these things, just not in the order that you like. The order of operations of what you're saying is wrong, but like the idea and spirit behind it is right. That's why like so many people have success in our program, is because like we share with you all of the pieces of that, yeah.
Yeah, we also have another webinar coming up, and actually a challenge coming up that I think could be helpful, especially the challenge. So the challenge starts on Thursday this week. I think it could be helpful to just better understand, how Kickstarter works. And to get into that challenge, it's at kickstartyournovel.com/challenge. So definitely, take a look at that as well. Because yeah, I think that that'll help you kind of work out some of the timing issues, the scheduling issues. There's actually a section in that challenge, and the challenge is free, by the way. So it's just a resource for you. But there is a section in that challenge that is that kind of explains like timing and some of the other stuff that Russell's talking about. So we recommend that for you.
Sure, and you can get that at kickstartyournovel.com/challenge. And
yep. Does your accelerator program offer a disability discount? No, it does not. Do you want to add anything to that, or?
No.
All right. Okay. So I think we've gotten through all the questions.
I would want to say, just Kelly says thank you. That was a very helpful and tangible answer, and thank you for that.
Thanks.
I'm glad. And if you have, we can share with you like screen. That's what I'm talking about like sharing screen shares. So like when you have specific questions, a lot of these questions are about things that would require me to share the back-end backer report with you, and that I can't do because it is personal information, and so I can't share that part of it with you. But anything else, like we can share with you.
Sure. All right, so we'll go back to the presentation, and we want to, now that we've answered some questions, we want to just talk about some of the authors that we think that this not the program, that we think Kickstarter is good for. So the first one is, it speaks to a question that we get a lot. So is Kickstarter good for the author who's building a fandom and has either a no audience or a small audience? And the answer for us is yes. We teach you how to build an audience. So this, there's two examples for each of these. This is Mocha Von B. She's one of our students, and she, managed to get 24 backers. So that's 24 new readers, made 659 euros, right? Yeah, euros.
Yeah, which is roughly, I mean, at this point, it's roughly the same, but like,
yeah, it's about $650. And so the interesting thing about this author is that they use the pre-launch page that we recommend, and they got a bunch of followers to their pre-launch page ahead of time. They had a goal of, I think, hitting 50. So they were able to just kind of work the system that we offered with the marketing, and we're able to start with basically no email list, no what, like, I think they just worked with like their friend list on Facebook and people that they knew. But yeah, they didn't have any platform at all, and they were able to make $650 basically on their first campaign. And then the second one is another author that we have, also raised about $650 from 27 backers. So not a ton of backers, but certainly a lot more money. You would have to sell like at least 50 to 75 books on a retailer to get to $650 at least. Like, I feel like I'm miscalculating.
It's like 100. It's 100, right?
100.
Like 100.
No, it's like 200 to 300.
Well, it's a minimum of like 100, but like
yeah, minimum of 100. Yeah, like if you're selling at $10, then
yeah,
you need a minimum. You need 100, or roughly 100.
And what's great about this is like she has access to these backers' information. So like she gets a report and she can message them. Like it's not just a bar graph that goes up. It's actual humans that like care about the work. And I've actually run with clients, I've done like testing of the water of multiple of their series to see what they should write next. And we had one. I have one client who said, and I don't take clients anymore, but when I was taking, she's a holdover from my previous, when I did take clients, like we did a campaign that did like 29 backers and raised like $500, and then another one that raised like $500. And from that, she designed a brand new series, and that one doubled all the things that she'd raised previously. And I think she made like close to $2,000 or more than $2,000 on it. And so but we used what she learned and those fans became like beta readers for what the new thing became.
Right. So, I mean, this can give you, so no matter if you have, if you consider yourself as having no audience, because these two authors, they really did not have an audience to start out. Like, I don't think they had like email lists or anything. This gave them a foundation from which they can build on. So these are still, these are modest campaigns still, I would say. Like, this is, not like a lot of our authors raise like quite a bit more than this, like 10x.
Our average is 4,000. So like, these are on the lower end, but still like, I often tell even authors on this level, like usually they have like a $250 or so first day. And every time that happens, they're like, this is the most I've raised in one day on a launch ever.
The most I've made from fiction. So that those authors, this can work for you. Also the author who has an audience, so kind of the opposite of that. So we had a couple of people, this is one of our authors, Daniel Potter. He, I'd say he's like mid-list. He has a small reader, small to mid-sized readership on retailers, not necessarily at the top of his genre or anything like that on retailers, but he raised $14,665 on his campaign from 190 backers. And there's an interview for his his campaign specifically on our podcast. And I think it just came out on the Kickstart Your Book Sales podcast. It's definitely on our YouTube channel, which is also Kickstart Your Book Sales. So that's why I picked this. So you can go and listen to like why this campaign did so well. Another person, Justin Fike, who I mentioned earlier, we just did an interview with him as well. Again, he raised over $10,000 on his campaign. Kind of the same thing. We didn't know this until we talked to him, but he was kind of in the boat of it wasn't working on retailers, basically. So this same series was making, it sounded like less than a couple $100 a month on retailers. And then he took it to Kickstarter and was able to get 10,000 in a single month. So of course he can't do that every month using this one thing, but this is still a foundation upon which you can build a career now, because this really showed him, I think, what was possible. And he talked about this in his interview too. So I recommend checking that out if you want to go deeper into that, since we don't have time.
Yeah, well, there is another kind of person who has an audience, which is someone who has an audience that is not converting. And so to go back to that story that I just was telling, that my client had a 10,000 person email list and no one was buying from her. And so by doing these tests, we were able to see what segment of her list was converting, and like basically jettison a huge portion of the list and just focus on the people that like really wanted to hear from her. So it is perfect for someone who has an audience that is converting. But even if you're like not necessarily converting your audience the way that you want to, it can be used to like do some of those like testing, which is something we don't talk about in this, like in any section, but it is a way that you can use it. And you might find that you launch a book and wow, you did $10,000.
Yeah, I mean, we also work with a lot of authors who have had massive success on retailers, and in particular on Amazon, and then Amazon changes its algorithms, or like they're just not getting the same visibility on Amazon. And so then they're coming to Kickstarter to see like, how can, like, I know these books are great. They hit the USA Today bestseller list on a solo title, it's like they have like all these accolades, and the backlist is doing fine. And it might even still be like a 6-figure backlist, but like they were making, like 7 figures before. And so now they're looking at like, well, how can I take the assets I already have? I can see that Kickstarter is like a huge payday, like kind of all at once. Like, how can I take the assets I have and bring them over to Kickstarter and work with the mechanisms there to kind of increase the value of my backlist, but also I think build longer term fans, because I think a lot of people who are very successful on Amazon, sometimes they're in KU, and like that's like a lot of readers, but it's a lot of casual readers. It's not a lot of fans who are kind of going to follow you everywhere. And so we do have, we have 7-figure authors. We have authors who like have not written their first book yet. And we also have a number of 7-figure authors in the program too that we work with, which I think is really exciting about the program, because it's still a pretty small program. There's still less than 200 people in it. So we have like these 7-figure authors kind of learning alongside of newer authors. So it's like kind of a cool way to get to know some authors who, maybe are more successful or have been more successful in the business in previous years, and also currently are more successful, and you can learn from those people. Okay, so kind of a side note for us, but Another type of author is authors interested in wide and direct sales, and in particular in direct sales. So we see people coming over who want to do direct sales. They get started on Kickstarter. We also see a lot of authors who have gone wide, who are looking at like, well, how do I utilize every platform, or like as many platforms as I can? And so we see a lot of wide authors doing quite well on Kickstarter as well. So this is one of our authors, Amy Campbell. We also did an interview with her, and that was one of the reasons we did these interviews, is so that for like a lot of our successful authors in these different categories, is just so that you could hear it from them of like what Kickstarter did for them, why they did Kickstarter to begin with. And so again, those are on Kickstart Your Book Sales the YouTube channel. This series, this is an author who has 3 books total, and she's getting her 4th book out, but still 3 books total. She made $4,874 on her Kickstarter campaign. And this book, I would say, it was on a single book, and I would say that this book is it's very cross genre. So you can see LGBTQ, weird Western, epic
weird
fantasy.
Western. Yeah, it's got all of that. So whoever was asking about like cross genre stuff, like, you know, this was not burning up the Amazon sales charts, but like it had a fandom, and she had a fandom, and like they all came out and they wanted this book. And what we find is like those cross genre authors, a lot of times, like those people are like very, very devoted to those authors because there's just so few of them or that they know of, that like they're willing to, they want to support a lot. So you might do considerably better than you do even on Amazon because of that reason.
Yeah, so this was another one of our authors, Craig, who is awesome. He's very prominent in the Y community. He also raised $5,672 from 73 backers on his most recent campaign. And this was after he had done a couple $500 campaigns. He had, and I think that was it. Like, I think that was, where he was at with Kickstarter. Yeah, go ahead.
We did a couple of $500 campaigns, and then we released our book, and he got the book and used that book to turn that 500 into 2,000. And he says this is not from me. Like you can go listen to
you go listen to the
podcast.
Like
our podcast said, like he says that like basically he took that 500 and did the 2,000, and then during that campaign he joined our program, and he went from 2,000 to 5,000 to $5,600. Is this campaign. So he went from 2,000 to close to $6,000 using our the things that we helped him target and optimize. So like that's another thing that we do is we help you. We can literally, this is proof that we can help you 10x your campaign, because like we literally did during this campaign.
Yeah, I will also say that this doesn't happen all the time, but when we see people struggling, sometimes Russell like knows exactly what's going on, and so that was the case for Craig. He came in kind of in the middle of his campaign. He was trying to use the course to take his campaign to the next level, and so Russell was like, "Well, let me just like make a video." Quickly, that for everybody, it's a group mentorship. A lot of it's text. We do some videos sometimes, but Russell kind of went through the campaign as an example, put Craig in the hot seat basically. And then Craig went back and made those changes, and literally within like a day or two, the campaign had gone from $2,000 to $4,000. And Russell, go ahead.
And we did an interview with JD Oliva, who said basically the same thing. I didn't do a video for him, but he posted his thing in the group, and I made some notes, and he basically turned his campaign from like $500 to close to $2,000 now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, those are the kinds of like small tweaks that like can lead to big results.
And it was very overnight for both of them. So, and again, you can hear all this in their own words. We're just relaying the message. They're the ones who said it first. So another group is authors who want to make more money on backlists. So I think this is authors that are very successful, but it can also be an author who is fairly mid-list, or who, has 10 books, 20 books, and maybe has never broken out on a retailer. We've seen authors come through like that. And so this particular author, Jamie Davis, actually is quite successful on retailers as well, but he took one of his early series. I think this was his first series, Extreme Medical Services, and he used to be a nurse, I believe, or a first responder or something. So he had a lot of personal experience with this topic, and people like love this brand, like this part of his brand. But basically, he took that series. He decided to do an omnibus trilogy, which is pretty. That was. There's some risk to that, but he knew he had fans, so he was able to do it. But basically, he was able to take this, I think it was like a 9-book series, and turn it into 3 books that were three books within each, and did very well with it. $6,426 on a backlist. And he's the one who said that it did not change his sales on retailers during that time. All right, so then this is Mal Cooper and Jill Cooper as well, who they often work on these projects together, though it is typically Mal's catalog that they work with. They did this 10-year anniversary special, and I believe this was also their first book that they had published, and they did a lot of cool stuff. Extended edition, they added like a ton of extra content, they sold a bunch of books in it. They hit $22,810, so from 208 backers. And so we're both friends with Mal. We know that she has a pretty excitable audience. Like, she has a lot of fans, not just in the author community, but also in her sci-fi stuff. So there is that, but still, basically made over $100 per backer during this campaign, which is crazy.
Yeah, and what's great is that, like, a lot of these books, I don't think that this is true for Mal, this particular series, but a lot of these series have like basically earned out and have just stopped performing as well.
Stop performing on retailers.
And this is a way to this is just a way to inject more life. I mean, especially if you're a romance author who's writing a book a month or a book every 6 weeks, or maybe even a book every 3 weeks, like your back catalog is not doing as much for you as like maybe a fantasy author in a long series consistently. Like, you'll have that big pop and then it will like have a big like drop as well. So like, this is a way to take those series that are not performing anymore, or maybe were never performing, and inject some additional life into them.
Yeah, so another group that we work with, we have some nonfiction authors in our group. So Claire, mentioned earlier by Martha, but Claire Taylor did her first nonfiction book, or at least her first nonfiction book in the author space. I don't know if she's written nonfiction before, but it's called Reclaim Your Author Career. It's about the Enneagram. It did really, really well, and she used our book and our course, and of course she's also friends with both of us, so we were chatting with her a lot about this project, but she did a really good job of getting feedback and like implementing our feedback on this. And this project, it really took off. I think she has a really good brand within the author community, but I think this project probably helped build the audience and also took that brand to like a next level, if that's what she was going for. Yeah. Anything else to say about this one? Yeah.
I mean, I love the Enneagram, and this is a thing that like actually brought it into authorship. So like, I thought that was like a great, it was like it was a good hook. It was at a right time. It was like a way to like capitalize on the audience. And I do think we helped show her like the value track to make this like way more successful, because she also almost made like $100 a person here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, she did really well. And hopefully, I know she's definitely a Kickstarter convert, and is planning some more campaigns, though I don't think we'll see them till 2023.
And that's the best part. The whole best part of this is that I'll just call her Kickstarter reluctant. A year ago, she is the co-host of the Sell More Book Show with Brian Cohen. And like, I've heard her for months talk about how like, I don't know about Kickstarter, and like, she went from that to now she's like a complete convert. And it's so like, that's my favorite part of this story.
Yeah, so I don't know, I've been friends with Claire for a very long time, so I'm kind of like, I know what you mean by reluctant, though. Like, like, I would say like a healthy skepticism toward Kickstarter was kind of how she started out. And then she just found the right project for it and followed our instructions very purposefully too, and said like, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to do what they say to do. And I think it really paid off for her. And I know she's excited about doing more campaigns. So that's
Which is
always
really
fun.
interesting.
Yeah.
What's great is like, look, this is a single standalone book. How often do you see single standalone books make $25,000 on retailers? Like, one of the best things about this is I've been able to make a lot of money. Two of the campaigns I just showed you were for single standalone books, and there was like, one has made almost $4,000 and is still going. The other made over $4,000 when we did it last year. So like, it's a lot. Like, there's a lot of potential here for again, like a standalone or a series that is like not one maybe that's burning up the charts.
Yeah, and I think if you are doing nonfiction specifically, I think we have a great system for that. Also, we've raised over 65,000 on Kickstarter, or around 65,000 on Kickstarter in the last year, just through books. Basically, well, that I mean, we had like little programs and stuff attached to that, but through publishing projects. So it's a really great way to get a idea
nonfiction
out
publishing
there.
projects.
Yes, sorry, nonfiction
publishing projects.
Nonfiction publishing projects. But it's a great way to get an idea out there. And I think that if this book had launched on a retailer, it probably would have done okay. Like, because Claire has a good sized audience, but I don't think it would have made 25,000, and certainly not within a month, because that's crazy. So like, maybe I don't even know if it would have made 25,000 in a year, just because nonfiction book marketing it's challenging. So this is a way to make nonfiction publishing work for you, if that's where you're at. Okay, sorry. So then this was another kind of, I just wanted to show this campaign because it was an unusual one. So it was basically self-guided tours, and it was ebook, print, and audio of New Orleans. So it's a couple, the Martones, who live in New Orleans, and they raised $4,582. And they did this project in March. I think if they did this project in like September, they probably would have raised even more, just because it's spooky and like Halloween related. But like, this is, it doesn't have to be a book. This particular project, they were able to take what we share and apply it to this, and they did a really good job of working the system, and it turned out really well for them. So they also did not have an audience for this ahead of time, and I believe they write horror, or they're moving into horror, and so they were trying to, I think, start building an audience. So you can do that too. You can build an audience, doing like a really simple like you can use like something that's not a book to kind of start to build an audience for a new genre that you're entering into.
Yeah, and nonfiction is great because you can do really, 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 really off the wall stuff. Like we have I'm going to share my screen quickly, because we have a person currently running a campaign about teeth. And like, it would be like, oh, can you run a book about teeth on Kickstarter? And like, my answer was like, I don't know, let's do it. And then like, she started running it, and $2,500 or $3,300 later, I actually was like, when she put this as her goal, I was like, I don't know about this. Like, it's about teeth. I don't know if, and she's like, I'm confident in my audience will come. And I was like, but it's teeth though. And then she clearly proved me way, way, way wrong. So like, it's got a very charming image. It's like got a lot of like silliness in it. It's got like, it's like the campaign is like very, very well, very, very like well thought out, and like there's a lot of like heart in it, and like I love it a lot. But like, if you're like, well, I'm a dentist, or like I'm a garbage collector, can I do I don't know, like, yeah, probably, like if you follow the system, you can probably do it. Yeah, we also have a question. Should we do a question before doing the next question? Part?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I funded my first campaign, yay, but a lot of friends and family supported me. I'm worried that any subsequent campaign will fail unless I bug people I know. Heard subsequent books and series may have decreased returns. What do you think? Want to go first, Monica, or do you want me to go first?
Well, I mean, you can go. You probably say everything I'm going to say.
So first and foremost, like a series does generally have a diminishing return on backers, but that does not mean it has a diminishing return on money. And I will show you what I mean by that. Because I've been complaining about this one series of mine, but it still makes the same amount of money on after 4 books than it did on 1 book. Okay, so disregard. So I have a book called Ichabod Jones Monster Hunter. You can see that we started here. This is basically like the relaunch. It made $16,000 from 500 backers. Then we did volume 2 and did better, 600 backers, $20,000. And then things started to go drastically differently. I'm not going to say wrong, just differently. Then we had 476 backers, but look, $22,000. Then we just did the last one in that series, and 422 backers, $22,000 again. So like you make less, you get less backers, but because there are more numbers in the series, more people that come in are spending more money generally. Now, that is not always the case though, because if you do not have a big audience, then you could be growing every campaign actually. You know, my audience has been pretty stable for a while. But like this, I've seen people who go from 100 to 150 to 200 to 400 to like 600 to 800 backers. So for someone saying, are there new fans that you can do? Yes. Part of that though is about like, are you networking? Are you getting on podcasts? Are you doing all of the actions that you need to like build your audience? These people were like very specifically building and growing their audience over time and between every campaign. Probably if you have a big audience already, you're not like actively growing it by like leaps and bounds every year, you're probably going to see a diminished return, but like more money or the same amount of money over each campaign. But a small campaign can grow, but really it's what are you doing between now and your next launch to like grow your audience so that you're not just hitting up the same people, because we do see that like some campaigns that aren't actually growing their audience, like they are not having the same success their second campaign as their first campaign. And people are maybe it also depends on the project that you take on. There's so many factors and there's so many things that we actually help you with, whether that's connecting you with a group of like-minded people in the communities that we have, or you can get access to our exchange, which has a bunch of other books in it. Like you can do podcast, you can do there's all these things that you can do to grow your audience between now and your next launch. So you aren't just hitting up the same people again and again and again and again. You might also find that those people actually like your book, because this is a thing that like people discount. Like you have your first campaign, people buy your book, and maybe you did I almost said bully, not bully, coax them not gently into buying your book. But then they get your book and they might read it and actually like it and actually become a fan. So that's happened to me before. Like someone has a friend of mine that still backs my books because they actually became a fan of my work on top of being a fan or a friend of mine. So there are all sorts of things. The Kickstarter Accelerator course really is more than just like, here's the steps of Kickstarter. It's like literally how to transform your business so that you can do direct sales and go from having a readership to a fandom.
Yeah, I would add that if you're on your second campaign, I actually think it's even more valuable to join the Kickstarter Accelerator. Only, and this is not specifically about Kickstarter, because I do think that your second campaign is actually a vulnerable campaign on Kickstarter, especially the more success you've had with your first in many ways, because success with your first, it kind of gives you the problem is that every Kickstarter campaign is different. So you're gonna launch your second Kickstarter campaign. Some of the stuff that you did on the first might not work on the second. So like you mentioned, friends and family, they're gonna, some of them might be like, hey, yeah, like I supported you once because I love you. I'm not gonna, I'm not able to support you the second time, or like I don't feel, like I kind of already supported you on this. And so, and so we see that a lot too, where people on their second campaign, they really do have to find a strong readership, and that doesn't mean don't do it. It means be aware of you know, I guess just like, yeah, the challenges, the pitfalls of the second campaign, and you know, look at some of the ways to like turn it to your advantage, basically. And I think, you know, the other thing we see in our program is some people doing their second campaign, maybe they did their first campaign, they thought the second campaign was going to be a lot like the first campaign, so they did not like restudy the materials, they did not like redo their budget sheets for the second campaign. And so I will say that Russell and I, we redo all of that for all of our campaigns. Like we go back to basics every single time. We, you know, we're especially Russell's better at this than me, but I'm getting better at it. Like I'll always do the budget at least, but yeah, like we look and like do the plans, and kind of like work the same system every single time, because we know that every campaign is different and has drastically different like psychological triggers a lot of the time too, that we need to pull on for sales and marketing. And so I just think, you know, if you're on your second campaign, I really think the Kickstarter Accelerator could be helpful to you, especially given that friends and family were a part of your audience last time, and they may not show up in the same way for you in the second campaign. So that means you got to, you know, make up for that with readership, and audience growth and some other stuff.
Speaking of, what kind of people are in our accelerator?
That's a great question. So let's see if we can share the screen. All right, so authors who are in the Kickstarter Accelerator, we've got fantasy authors, thriller authors, romance authors, cozy mystery authors, sci-fi authors, historical authors, nonfiction, children's, poetry, young adult. We have Oracle decks, coloring books, including, like, I'm actually launching an Oracle deck next, which I'm super excited about. But we have a couple other people who did decks, and we haven't, you know, I guess we also have like the audio narration, the one that we talked about. So we have some like interesting kind of obscure ones. But basically, you know, if you have a question about niches, like definitely, you know, definitely post about it, because we can tell you if we have someone or if we've seen someone who's been successful with it. What else do you want to say about this, Russell? Anything?
I mean, you know, we just had a $15,000 campaign with a cozy mystery author. You know,
I think it was 16,000.
Yeah. So you know what's interesting? When we ran this the first time, our average was somewhere around like $2,500 or $2,600. Maybe $3,000 per person. And we've seen people, and we said back then, like, you know, what's going to happen is we keep jumping up. Like people started hitting 5K, and then 5K became like the norm. And then we're like, eventually it's going to get to 10K, and then 10K is going to become like a pretty normal thing. And we literally have started seeing people, like we had one person like kiss 10K. We were like, oh, cool. Like, I wonder when the next one, and like right away, like someone else, maybe that's because we're all leveling up together, and like they're leveling up each other, and their audiences are allowing everyone else to level up, and the tricks that they're learning. Like, it's one thing to come from us. It's another thing to come from like, here's how I implemented this as like my campaign, from like other people in the community. And like that, we're seeing just the power of the actual program itself, and the power of the community growing over time to like have this snowball of, you know, a 10K campaign 6 months ago seemed like it wasn't an impossibility, because we believed that would happen, but it was way far off. It was like far off to have
yeah, like especially a first timer.
Yeah. And now it's like, well, 10K, like it could for sure happen. We just had literally 2 people who were first time Kickstarter people hit 10K. We had a coloring book almost hit 10K. We had like, so all of these things are happening. And it's really exciting to see inside the community.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about the Kickstarter Accelerator. Because we're coming up on time, we have just a short amount of time. I'm gonna like kind of blast through this and also maybe skip some parts. Is that okay? What do you think, Russell? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. If you have questions, like this is the time.
This is the time to ask questions. Yeah.
Yeah, this is any question, not just about the accelerator, but like anything, but preferably about the accelerator, but not necessarily about it.
Yeah, and I also want to say, if you want to learn more about the accelerator, kickstartyournovel.com/buy is going to be the link. So you can go to that link right now and take a look as I'm talking, and we'll show it again later, but I just want to let you know now. So 4 parts to the program, and we have these 4 different divisions within the program, as you see it in Teachable and the different videos that we have. So month 1, we do campaign design. So this is like budget and other stuff, which I'll show you in the next slide. Month 2, we do like pre-launch marketing. Month 3, we talk about launch, dead zone, and last days, and month 4, fulfillment. And these are just divisions that we've created, and like kind of people asked us for like timeline and stuff like that. So we dropped it in here. You actually get access to all of this right away when you join. So you could go through this within like a week and be launching your Kickstarter campaign. Kind of right away. So in month 1, campaign design, we help you choose a profitable project, set a budget, research vendors, figure out reward tiers, write your story, add images and video, and avoid costly decisions. Also, in our challenge, we talk about some of these topics as well. If you want to sign up for that, again, it's at kickstartyournovel.com/challenge. Month 2, we do pre-launch stuff. How we help you get your pre-launch page set up, find your story threads, write emails. So we recommend a lot of sending multiple emails during your campaign, setting up your full launch schedule, and getting like social media scheduled ahead of time, that sort of thing. Estimating your launch numbers, and then scheduling and booking everything you need. In month 3, we can help you do all the things during your launch week, track your numbers through your launch week, adjust your marketing plan based on what's going on. We help you figure out what to say in the dead zone. So the dead zone is kind of the period after launch, but also before your campaign closes, where things kind of die down a bit and it's a little bit harder to kind of see the daily traction that you want maybe. We
have an episode of that one. Of the dead zone. That's very popular on our podcast.
Yes. Bring it home in the last days as well to hit your real goals. So we have the Kickstarter goal that you set, and then there's the real goal. Month 4 is about fulfillment. Set up your fulfillment service. You can use Kickstarter. You can also use a third-party one. So we both use BackerKit, but there are other ones that you could try. Setting up add-ons, promoting your pre-order store, printing your books and other rewards, avoiding delays, avoiding losing money, avoiding making mistakes that can really kill your profitability of your campaign during the production and fulfillment phase. Set up shipping and packaging easily, and just closing out your campaign well, like what to send to people, how to deal with like dropped pledges and that sort of thing, but making sure that people feel well taken care of after the campaign. Okay, so kickstartyournovel.com/buy. The program is yours for $999. We also have a 12-month payment plan that we rarely bring out. So you can start the program in full, have full access to the entire program. It's $99 and the payment goes for 12 months, but you get access immediately.
So the person who asked about the disability plan, this might be perfect because you could start it. You did $99, and by the time, you literally could, by the time the next one runs, be able to potentially pay for the rest of the program on the strength of your Kickstarter alone.
Yeah, I saw someone raising their hand. I don't know if that was a real one or sometimes this is a little buggy.
That was. Let's see. If you. All right, I've never done this, but are you okay bringing someone on or allowing them to talk? All right, Kelly, I'm going to allow you to talk. Never done this before, so you have a let's see. I don't know if that was a real raise hand or was a fake raise hand, but Kelly, you are able to talk if you want to talk. Otherwise, I don't know how to depromote you, but depromote you. Hi, Kelly.
Hi. So sorry.
Hi,
I was
Kelly.
meant to hit the question button and hit the raise hand on accident. But I did have a question just real quick on how much investment would you say is necessary as far as creating character art or the prize package for whatever, probably the wrong term, for what you give to your backers?
Sure, that's a great question, and I think that it determine. That's why we say you should try and do an anniversary book first, because that requires the least amount of prep. Like, I don't do character art for my books. Now, some people love character art and that's what they want for their books, and so they do all of that stuff. What I generally do is I offer a special edition cover of my book for Kickstarter, often hardcover exclusive, and then I offer a pin. And so as far as the prep work, I can actually show you the campaign again, and I can just show you kind of what, not that page. I can show you what I do generally for all of my campaigns. So we have, we have the cover image, then text. We have some other imagery that I pull from Deposit Photo. I have an audiobook, so I put an audiobook piece, but it was already a thing that I had already done. You can see more Deposit Photo stuff. So some people do this much differently, but we show you how to do this with the minimal investment. And then what is great about our system is that once you have all of this stuff, like this was literally an email. I literally just copied this and sent in an email during my campaign. So all of this stuff, we hope, becomes marketing copy also that you can use for years to come, so that you're able to use it, to make it once and sell it and use it for sales deep into the future. So we have like a blurb. So the blurb is going to already probably be done because you need a blurb. A cover needs to already be done. So a lot of the pieces are already done. But then some people go create. I don't want to say. Some people go overboard, or like some people go to a bigger extreme where they do character art and other pieces. I frankly, you can see from this thing, I didn't do character art. I actually just pulled. I did characters, but I just pulled imagery from Deposit Photos that like had the right vibe for the Deposit Photos. And I show you exactly how we do that as well inside the course. So I don't think there needs to be a huge investment of money. This is meant to make you money, not cost you money.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think, you definitely, if you're doing a book, you need a cover, like obviously, you need an excerpt. So you need a couple pieces, but I do think, I would probably personally hold off on character art until the project funds and until you see what the demand is, because I think that's the important thing, is like whatever you want to be able to do with your books that requires an upfront investment, I would find a way to get that investment secured through Kickstarter ahead of time, through like the backer pledges. And then I would announce like, hey, like we're able, we're able to hit this goal. And and so we give you a lot of those budget worksheets in the program. There's actually a whole section on budget where you can work all this stuff out on a spreadsheet with numbers, factoring in all the things that need to be factored in. There's like videos that go along with it, just so that you can kind of sort this out in your mind. And again, like both Russell and I do these things before every single campaign to make sure that we are profitable before we launch. We don't want any gaps in our profitability, no reward tiers that are like going to start to cost us money. So we do that in detail, I would say, beforehand, because this is the last thing we want, is to be in the red or to have any of our students going in the red accidentally.
Yeah, and we just had a situation like that happen recently, where someone was like, I pre-bought, based on the success of what I thought was going to happen, I pre-bought all of this stuff, and now even though I have a successful campaign, I thought it was going to be much more successful. And So yeah, we are very, very, and this was a person that just like Monica was talking about, did the next campaign and was like, I know what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna go off on my own. And so yeah, we do not want you to make a whole bunch of extra stuff. The investment that I think is necessary is like an exclusive cover. I think is very, very high value, and also just like it's always pretty to have a nice new cover. Maybe some new formatting inside if you like are getting real really excitable. You know, and if you do that new formatting, then you probably would do new chapter breaks, a new scene heading, and like then you would have those things you might be able to use for stickers or something like that, or like a temporary tattoo. But like and then maybe like some bit of merch, like it could be a print, could be like a pin, but you don't have to do all of that stuff. Like you can do it with none of this stuff that I just mentioned. I have done that before where I have just literally launched books with no, like all I did was I offered a special thanks inside and they still were successful. Does that answer your question, Kelly?
It does. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, I'm gonna de-promote you then. Awesome. All right.
And we have a couple more questions. One is, do some rewards work better with certain genres over others? For example, does character art work better for sci-fi fantasy versus cozy mystery, or a cookbook for cozy mystery versus romance? Yeah, I would say that some things do. I don't think it's by genre. I think it's by audience. So like it's by like what is important in your series. So if you have a cozy mystery about that's like focused on cooking, then yeah, a cookbook would work really well. If you have a cozy mystery that's more focused on like cats or like, you know, like one of the other like common subgenres of cozy mystery, then maybe a cookbook isn't the right thing for you. I also know romance authors who like a cookbook would be great for them. So I just think, you know, what do your fans actually want? I think that's, and like, what are people on your email list? What are people who have read your books? What are people in your Facebook groups, your fan groups, whatever? Like, what have they been asking you for? And you've been, you know, wishing like, oh, well, I would do that, but I don't, you know, I don't know how many people actually want this, and it's a lot of work on my part. And then it's like, that's something that I would put into, I would use for your Kickstarter campaign. So what are your thoughts,
and
Russell?
I think that, yeah, I mean, so I see this all of the time with like a really good use of Kickstarter is like to get something that is in your world, but ancillary to your world. Like, an audio drama was one that we did, but like a card game or an oracle deck or a deck of playing cards or a cookbook. I've told so many people that do cozy mysteries, like a baking book or a cookbook or something from your series would be like a great way to get like two bites at the same apple with the same audience. You know, will a cookbook do like bananas outside of your own audience? I don't know. But if you have a good audience and that sounds like something that they want, and like, you know, I would absolutely consider doing that. Even just like doing the book and then like a recipe guide, like a zine kind of like self-stapled recipe guide could be something as well that is really good. You know, a cookbook requires a lot of investment of like beautiful photos and like page design and layout design. So like I would not be like, let's do a cookbook without like knowing what your audience is. But yes, I would definitely say that like, you know, fantasy really likes like RPG type stuff. But like I've also seen really cool RPGs in mystery, you know, like what are the like the hunt a killer is basically an RPG that you do for mystery. You know, we've seen a lot of like cool stuff for romance as well. Like the visual novels that they do are basically just like RPGs that you get to choose your own adventure, kind of like how you go down there. So just because something works for one genre, like I would think a cookbook for Lord of the Rings would be like,
it would work well. Yeah,
really well, but like probably for, I don't know, The Witcher probably not a great cookbook, because
Right.
like there's not like a lot of like, I don't want to eat any of
Yeah.
the food I see there. It's like kind of
Right.
gross actually. So
I know.
like, yeah, for sure. Like it depends, but also it's so as Monica says, like it's really series dependent on what is like important. Like if you have a cat as you're familiar, maybe like you do a cat calendar, like or like something like that. So
Yeah.
but yeah, and there are definitely things that will work better, like just to get general interest in the Kickstarter community, like Cthulhu is a big one, and
apparently,
you know, there's other ones that are.
Mary Shelley is apparently a huge one. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And that's
Frankenstein,
a popular one.
Yeah, like Universal Monsters. Like there's just like there's a lot of other ones that I just can't think of right now. But like those are, you want to start thinking, if you want to like those are how you pair those together. But probably what's going to happen is like a character map would be really good for like a fantasy world that you are making, you know, like,
right.
Like if you did a nice, beautiful map for your world, like and ran a campaign for that, you probably would only make like $300 or $400, maybe $500, but like maybe enough to pay back the thing. But then you would have that asset that like you could use forever. And those are the other kinds of campaigns that you could run.
There's another one. If you launch multiple genres, do you launch multiple Kickstarters in a year, or do you try to limit yourself?
Okay, so I believe that you should try to limit yourself to one release in a series a year on Kickstarter. That said, that is like for books. So like you could run a book campaign and then a plush campaign and then the same series, like pin campaign in the same series. But like I wouldn't run book 1 and then book 2. At the very least, give it 6 months. And you're going to see a marked decline in that 6 months. Like if you don't wait the year, then because there's just going to be less people who've read the series and want to continue on it. You might make more money, but you're going to have like fewer backers. And I've seen that across a lot of series, not just my own, but other people's as well. But that said, I ran a campaign, which was basically my summer slate, which was 4 different books in 4 different standalone books. And so like that worked, that raised $10,000. So like, you know, close to $10,000. So if you're wondering like which way to go, you can go any way, but I wouldn't be like, let's run book 1 on January and book 2 in February and book 3 in March. Although I literally have a friend who's doing that with comics right now. So like even that is like not a hard and fast rule. Right. But yeah, if you want, like for my rule is generally you can do 4 campaigns, big campaigns a year, 1 per quarter. I like to think of myself as like a fashion designer, and like fashion designers have like a big launch once a quarter where they launch their collection. And then they have like like the build up to that. And then like they have the creation time. And so I try to think of like, that's the ebb and flow of what I try. Then at the end of the year, if you look at my campaigns, you'd be like, but Russell, you've run 5 campaigns the last few years. And like, but if you look at that last campaign, it's always small. It's always for like a single book or like an audio drama. Or I did a book that I drew called How Not to Invade Earth. And like all of those things are like small books that I'm like, well, if it makes $1,000, like that's okay. If it makes 5, but like I don't go in there with the 5th campaign expecting to make like it's not a campaign that I'm dependent on. It's all just kind of like bonus money for me at that point.
For sure. All right, so that's all the questions. Does anybody have any other questions? Now is the time to ask. And otherwise, okay, so here's a question about how long you're running the $999 early bird on the accelerator. So we are running this until November 1st, November 2nd. Sometime it's going to transition over to the regular pricing, and it's $999. But right now, the early bird special is that you also get the direct sales accelerator with this. And so we should probably pull up the sales page, not this.
I'm going to pull up the sales page right now, because we've not actually talked about like what is included in this offer, in case we wanted to like, you know, replay this later when people don't have access to this offer. But like now that's at the end, we can just cut this last part out if you want to replay it. Okay, so this is the Kickstarter accelerator. I'm not going to go through this part because like we've already talked about this for ad nauseum, but this part is really, really, really important. Earlier in this call, we said that for people that are interested in direct sales, like that they should get the Kickstarter accelerator. Based on the success of the Kickstarter accelerator, we started the beta for our new course, which is the direct sales accelerator, which is how to do direct sales. And we are already having people getting results through the stuff that we're teaching. We've done now 2 calls, and we have about 5 hours of content inside of that course right now. And we just finished a sales call literally less than an hour before we got on this call. So I have it to upload. So if you buy the direct sales accelerator, you're also going to get that. And that is inclusive of some basically a monthly call for the next few months on top of all of the content that we're generating. Now, here is the thing. You might say, well, Kickstarter is great, but like, I'm only going to be running 1 a year. Yes, that might be true, but the direct sales accelerator is something you can use literally all year round, taking the principles of the Kickstarter accelerator and focusing them on direct sales pages, traffic, messaging, copywriting, going to conventions, all this other stuff that like makes Kickstarter like now like a revolutionary thing in your business, even though just the direct Kickstarter accelerator is already revolutionary of itself. This transitions it to like, how can I use this every day to build my business? And this is what we decided. This is what we came up with our community of Kickstarter people about what they needed, the next step. And we really went all out on putting every time I do this, I get a little bit like, wow, we shouldn't have done this, but we did it anyway. We did. So it's 6 coaching calls. It's really over the course of like 4, 5, 6 months at this point, where we talk about website sales, sales funnels, convention sales, onboarding your email list, running ads, ad sequences, basically everything that you need to build up and set your direct sales. And this is not like set up a Shopify store. This is like how to actually be able to run offers and run things and build your business on direct sales that you can run consistently and you can actually go and drive traffic to. So that is just one piece of it. We do not do live calls unless we're launching. Like this is basically the livest call you get with us. So these live calls are huge, and you get it for free for the $9.99 cost today. After when we transition to the second, you will no longer get that for free. You'll have to upgrade to our VIP offer at $19.99 in order to do that. You also get the group mentorship, which you do get in the Kickstarter community, but for the direct sales. But this is at this point, you're like, well, what? That doesn't sound so bonkers to me. Well, then we took all of our best courses that we've built over the past 10 years, and we included it for free in this accelerator program. So that includes my Build a Super Fandom, which we need to change the name of that. Build a Super Fandom, which used to be Build a Rabid Fan Base, which shows you how to basically scale. So some people were asking about scale, like how do you get past your friends and family? Well, like that will show you how to scale, how to create preparable Facebook ads, how to run viral group builders to like build your mailing list, how to run an anthology, which I think is the best way to use Kickstarter. Lessons, novel writing, productivity courses, and that doesn't even include Monica's courses about author mindset, building book launches, copywriting, and list building for authors. Like that's over $3,000 of courses that come free for this accelerator, which you get for free on top for that $9.99 cost. So even if you're like, I don't know, the Kickstarter accelerator is worth like $500. Well, I'm telling you now, this course is worth, this part of it is worth at least $5,000 by itself. Like it is going to completely revolutionize your business. And I kind of can't believe, I know people say this, but like we were on this call going through this a couple of weeks ago with a group, and we're like, wait, what are we giving away? We're giving away all of this stuff. And Monica's like,
funny.
well, we're giving it away. We're giving it away now. So like, we got to keep going with it. But like, it is just so much stuff. Plus a bunch of other amazing authors who are also doing the direct sales thing, and they want to make direct sales a part of your business, their business. Monica and I believe wholeheartedly that direct sales is the future of publishing. No ifs, ands, or buts, whether that's
Without
Kickstarter,
question.
direct sales, or anything. Like, all authors are going to have to learn direct sales at some point. And like, by doing this, you're going to be on the forefront, on the vanguard, on the cutting edge of where the industry is going to be in 2 years.
Yeah. So somebody asked about the early bird offer number 2, which is the Go Wide Grow Wide incubator. It's a $500 upgrade. And so this $14.99 price, again, it's an early bird special, but if you do the $14.99 price, you'll have all 3 programs. So we have 3 programs. These are the 3 programs we like kind of put everything under. It's the Kickstarter Accelerator, the Go Wide Grow Wide incubator, and the direct sales accelerator. And so this kind of gives you the whole picture of publishing and where we believe the future of publishing is. It's really, you know, with Kickstarter, of course, that's kind of our gateway, where people are learning how to do essentially direct sales. We believe that going wide can be really helpful to making direct sales work better for you. And for the most part, like, I won't say you can't, I wouldn't say you can't do direct sales without pulling your books from exclusivity, but I would say that it's a lot harder to do direct sales and to like really play with like all the different things you can play with through direct sales and also on Kickstarter without having that series that you're working on, without having it wide while you're doing all this other stuff. So we talk a lot about how to go wide, how to optimize for wide, how to, you know, and each retailer is different. Each retailer has different algorithms, how to optimize for each algorithm. A lot of authors have never been wide, or they went wide for a month and it was unsuccessful, and so they pulled back. And so that program, it really helps you just work through some of the challenges that you'll face as you start to move your books to these different platforms. And there's so many good things in here. It's, again, we have group mentorship for all of our programs. We do group mentorship. We answer questions. We have an active author community of wide authors. So it's kind of like Wide for the Win, but on steroids. People in this particular group are insanely knowledgeable about going wide and doing some really cool and crazy things on different wide platforms, on fiction apps, and all sorts of other stuff. So super smart people in that community. And again, you get the incubator, it's a rolling program, so with a monthly fee, but you get an entire year of the program, which includes all the content and a year of the community, and you'll get that when you sign up through it's just the $500 upgrade. And then there's also payment plans for all of this.
Before we get to that, I want to actually go through specifically, like, so every month Monica chooses a topic that or a retailer or something that is like relevant to wide authors. And there's a list of what, it's not like Monica just randomly chooses, like it will be like one of the major retailers or fiction apps or subscriptions. It was something to do with being wide. And she puts something like 5 videos, like 5 hours of videos together. Like you'd be like, how can there be 5 hours of video on Barnes and Noble? I'm telling you, I said the same thing. And then I went and looked at all the stuff that Monica did. And I was like, wow, there are only 5 hours of videos to do on this. So like Monica will pick a topic and go deep on this. And like, I think my zone of genius is Kickstarter. And then Monica's zone of genius is wide. She's also a genius on Kickstarter, but like, and then like together we are doing direct. So like Monica has been doing like wide for so long and knows so much about every platform and every like facet of doing this that like it blows my mind. And so, and one of the things that people say about going wide is like it takes a year to like get your feet under you. And so in this community, you'll basically get a fast track to optimizing it, but also unlike the Kickstarter and the directions, which is about accelerating, this is about incubating success because it is about the long game with wide. So you get basically everything from for the next year that Monica's going to do. And I don't really do much in that community, but like I'm there to, and whenever someone has a question if I have any question about like that's relevant, like I will I can absolutely answer it. We just did special offers and I was a lot more prevalent in like that month. Right. And like I am in there. But like this is like it's a thing I didn't understand until she showed it to me and she did it. And then I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah, like every author should get this upgrade. Right. And it's usually about $150 a month. Yeah. And so it's like the $500 is like a huge discount. And again, a thing I said, Monica, are you sure we should do this? And she's like, we're doing it. We offered it, so we're doing it. So I'm not sure we're going to do it again. I'm not sure we're going to do it for this price again. But like, it's a great, and the people that are inside are like some of the most knowledgeable like humans in publishing. It like blows my mind, the kinds of things that they're like asking about and they're talking about. And it's really, from a fly on the wall perspective, just like an absolutely incredible community to be part of. And if you have any interest in going wide, like you like commit to the next year and just do the whole thing, like get the whole landscape. And you might finish that year and be like, I'm not doing this, I'm going to KU, but like at least you will have all of that stuff. And starting on the 2nd, you will only be able to get the direct sales accelerator in this VIP upgrade. You will have to get it, and it will go up to $19.99. So currently it's $9.99, $14.99. It will be $9.99 for just the Kickstarter accelerator, and everything else, and the VIP will be $19.99. Yep. So yeah, you were talking about payments. I want to make sure you like hammered on how great the go wide is, because it is great. It's like mind-blowingly great.
It's advanced it's advanced publishing. So there's not really a good publishing course that gives you like a broader view of the real publishing landscape. But I think that this program is that it's like the MBA of publishing courses, basically. So the biggest thing I wanted to point out on this is really that these early bird options, I think Russell's already kind of explained, they're $9.99, $14.99, they're going to go to $9.99, $19.99. But there's also these payment plans. And I think these payment plans are so important. We don't offer the 12-month payment plan very often. Having it at $99, that means you can get into the program now. You could run your Kickstarter campaign and you could make the money for the rest of the payments in this program. And then same with the VIP upgrade, like you can get access to all 3 of our programs, all of which have like one is like fairly complete, or I would say complete, but we always like add new videos to it.
Just added one today.
Yeah, Russell's added one. And then we have, the direct sales accelerator, which we're building right now, the Go Wide Grow Wide incubator, we're building it. And so we keep adding content to these other 2 programs, but you can get all of that for $149 per month for 12 months. So if you're not able to do the lump sum payment, which I'm that type of person, like I like the payment plans on things, that is an option too. And we will probably not offer that 12-month payment plan in the next several runs of this. So
yeah, we've offered it 2 times this year. So most people are going to offer it 2 times next year. There are also a lot of bonuses that you get for signing up. So I'll talk about that for a second. Bonus 1 is my Build an Audience from Scratch course. Bonus 2 is Monica and my legendary Kickstarter budget templates, which literally people sign up just for the templates. And I know that because people have told me I signed up for the template.
And they work. They like keep
yeah.
people profitable. They're so valuable.
Yeah. So like the difference between making $500 in your campaign and losing $500 on your campaign is not very, it's like, much, there's not a lot. It's not very, it is so precarious that like, you really want those templates. You also get a digital copy of our signature book, Get Your Book Selling on Kickstarter, which, you know, I was shocked the first time we offered it, how many people were like, I love that you give us the book for like, because like we offered it in PDF, which I don't think didn't offer in the campaign. Right. Just like, we just this morning we're on a call and we're another call for the direct sales accelerator. And we're like, and Monica's just like, pull out the book and like, here's like, go to page 106 and like, look at all of the email, we did a whole chapter on buying triggers, which were like, buying triggers, how are that relevant to Kickstarter? And you're like, well, we literally are building you up from scratch. Right. Tearing everything down, and building you back up from scratch. Also, if we get 50 people in this call into this round, we'll do a special promotion. We have a couple of really cool bonuses we're also going to announce if we get past 50 that might be relevant to the earlier parts of this conversation or not. And then we have 2 awesome pay in full bonuses, which is pay in full bonus 1 is the solo books of my 2 ebook and audiobooks, which built the foundation of mine and Monica's relationship together before we even had a relationship together. And then 2, maybe the most valuable thing. No, it is the most valuable thing people have said in this whole thing. Besides that the one video, there's a video that people talk about a lot called "The Case for Your Book." But aside from that, this is the budget spreadsheets number 3. This is number 2. Like my copy vault, which is
this could be number 1 actually.
Still. Could be, yeah. But it might. Like, well, why don't you talk, Monica? You talk about it so well. Why don't you talk about it?
Okay, well, so basically what it is Russell writes, he writes incredible emails that help keep his campaign active during the launch period and also warm people up to the campaigns. And so people don't do this for retailers. So they were confused about how to do this. And so what we share is Russell's, his spreadsheet of like what he sends each day, what time he sends it at, what was sent. And then I think we do some prompts and like we talk about like kind of the thing behind the copy and how we do that. And there's videos on this too, but you actually get I think it's like 80 to 100 pages of 2 different campaigns. So it's actually like almost 200 pages of content, and it's in PDF format. So I wouldn't equate that to like a fiction book or anything, or like a book page count. But yeah, you'll get those PDFs, and it just shows you exactly how Russell does it and kind of breaks it all down. So it's a very cool bonus. People love it. And it really helps them, I think, really just write their email sequence, basically.
I mean, email is, if you've heard me talk ever before, you know that like, I think author email is like so broken, but like this will make you enough. This probably will make you enough on your first campaign to pay for the launch if you just use the copy. If you just use the things that we like talk about in this and like do the things that we like, just use them as templates to like make your own emails. But like, if you use them, like you probably will make the $1,000 on just this email alone to pay for the course. And definitely on the case for your book and this and the budget spreadsheets alone, like just those 3 pieces, we're very much like, well, we wanted to make some really killer bonuses and other things that like we could just say like that by itself is worth $1,000 or like that by itself is worth it. And so for people that are going to take the 12 pay option, you're like, well, oh man, I want to miss out on the pay in full bonus. I'll tell you the little secret that is not a big secret, which is like, as long as you pay in full by like the 6-month mark, we will give you all of the pay in full bonuses. So like, let's say you're strapped now, but you're like, man, I wish in like 4 months I'll run a campaign and like I'll have the thing and I really want those bonuses. Well, like if in January you pay the rest of what you owe, then we'll provide you those pay in full bonuses as well. And yeah, that's also a really good deal. So like, we're not going to give it to you if you pay on the 11th month and pay a 12th month for free. That's why we say like 6 months
the 12th month early.
We're not going to give you, but we will, and we'll work with you. We do want to work with you. Like we're interested in getting the most amount of people in this program and having the most success possible. So all right, I think that is, do we have any final questions?
We do. One last question. The content never expires, right? That is true in the sense that it is like quote unquote lifetime access. And we would say it's lifetime of the course, not your lifetime, not our lifetimes, because that's a little crazy. So it's lifetime of the course for as long as we run the course. And we would always give you a download of it too. So we may not host the course forever on Teachable for you, but if we were to say shut down the course or something at some point, we would definitely want our students to be able to download all the content since they paid for it. So yes, that is how I would describe it.
It's also probably like as long as we host the course and also use Teachable, because if we stop like presenting that course or it becomes something else, like as long as we're still using the same platform, like we're not going to not going to delete the course. So it's like, hey, if we move to Kajabi, maybe, but like for the most part, we don't, and we plan on supporting this course for at least
3 years,
like the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years. So like that is not like, do not guarantee any of that stuff, but like, yes, the content never expires. If we change like something already, you'll still have access to like this particular course.
Yep. So if there are any additional questions, let us know. Again, you can go to kickstartyournovel.com/buy. And here's the information for that. Definitely ask us those if you have any questions. And also like after this, definitely ask us if you have questions. So again, early bird ends on November 1st, and then it may like kind of run over into November 2nd, but if you want to hit the deadline, it's November 1st. And then we will close the cart for the year and into like next year on November 23rd, I think, at the regular price. And so then go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, go for it.
I just wanted to say like a couple of other things. So if you watch this and you're like, oh, this is cool, but like I'm still on the fence, there are a couple of other things that we're doing over the next month that might be worth your time. One is the challenge. It's kickstartyournovel.com/challenge. It starts on Thursday and it'll be happening over email and in our Facebook group, and it will take you through setting up a campaign. It's really, really good. Answers lots of questions. Russell did that. We have a couple more webinars coming up that we will be emailing about. And then we will also be at Romance Author Mastermind and at 20 Books. So if you're headed to either of those, we have a couple talks at each of them that we can, we'll be around. So come find us, chat with us. Yeah.
We've got a whole lot more. We've got a whole lot of like additional stuff, especially at 20 Books that we're doing. But forward to seeing you there. Definitely, if you're on the fence, come to do the challenge.
Do the challenge.
That will explain a whole lot of stuff. You'll actually set up a page, and like you'll get your brain juices going. We have a Q&A right after that, and we have a webinar called the 5 Places You Make Money on Kickstarter. That is on the 10th. And you can come to that. And I do want to make clear that like once this closes on the 23rd, you will definitely not be able to get to it until 2023, and probably rather late in 2023, because we have a book launching in January. We have another thing happening in May or June, like May. And then the next time we have to like launch any of this stuff is in August, and it's like it might look a lot different then. So do you really want to wait until August of next year to like start going on Kickstarter. So yeah, that is my last final pitch. It looks like there's one more comment. And then Melissa says, I appreciate you answering questions that I'm making it 100% a sales pitch. Definitely interested. And I am an evangelist for Kickstarter. Like I actually do like I love Oriana and like I love this platform. So I could answer stuff all day, but I don't think my body is not willing to go any further on this journey with us, because we've been doing this for a long time today. So I think without any more questions, we should just say goodbye.
Yep.
Yeah.
See you later, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.